Queen and Slim. First date that just turned to a disaster unexpectedly, man. Just you would think this would be an Oscar winning performance. And I have to really say, after watching this film, mm, highlights the issues with between African Americans and of course law enforcement and how they were being pulled over by the police and the police officer was violating so many codes. And I was really talking to my friend about this after the movie, like, man, it's had really so many messages in here. And Melina Matsoukas is the one who directed this film, and what you will understand, you'll get into the deep understanding of how these characters develop and why they are who the person they are. They want to create a legacy, especially the individual was playing Daniel. Daniel want to create a huge legacy of himself, man, in this film. And with his woman, he's like, hey, I this first date, I don't know if we gonna get a second date or anything, to get to know you a little bit more. It's just here and there and out. And it started off with her just the really message there that she had a bad day at work, and at work it was her client. She witnessed her clients having an execution in the state of Ohio, and he thought it was illegal, but they legalized it. And so she had a bad day. They really started off kind of rough, but so he got pulled over, man, and cops just asked him for his license and registration, and really just pretty much he took his ID, and then he even go through a whole huge background check. He's just saying that, oh well, I think he has a DUI or whatever. So I mean, the dude wasn't even intoxicated. He doesn't even drink or smoke. It was just kind of really crazy, man. And just say get out the car. And then he was like, "What are you doing?" He pulled a gun out, shot the girl, man. And people want to say is that his woman escalated the thing so quickly, the issue so quickly. Well, she was an attorney. She was just like standing up for him, like, hey, what is your problem? She already in so much stress. And I like how it started really trickling on down and started being very just so much of attention and detail into that film, because you'll be like, wow, you came from attorney, you just witnessed African American get killed, by the justice system, legal system, man, and she was failed to defend him, and that feels so wrong, man, to an attorney, especially their profession. They want to get off, get people off. They want to pass the bar. So they do all kinds of stuff, man, for people. And just to witness that, you just hearing that, hey, man, this day is going all wrong. But miraculously, man, that's when he really started being in tune with himself. They got into a tussle. Boom, he got the upper hand of the officer and shot and killed him. And that's when they had to run and go into their identity and get rid of that. They had to, Jay was driving around trying to figure out their next move. It was just downhill from there, man. I was just like, wow, man. So you get the understanding to explore what Queen and Slim was going to do. So I was like, okay, they threw their phones away. How they going to navigate this? So they had to get a map. They had to really kind of understand like where directions they was going to go. So they ended up deciding moving to their uncle for like a couple of days and then explain what was going on. And of course, they was on the news. It was just crazy, man. I was just like, wow, like this was in Louisiana, and the scenery, it was just so beautiful. The acting inside was good, man. I mean, at first the uncle, I couldn't really take him serious, but he held his own in that film, and you really kind of understand that he had a heart for her. And I want to understand, like, okay, well, he said that, because they wanted a car, they needed a car to navigate through and fro. They had to go to different cars, they had to change their identity. I mean, it kind of really makes sense. And one of the messages I believe Melina wants to display in this is that family needs to stay together at all times. When, if you've seen the film, when the uncle was like, you know what, I know a dude that can help you get where you need to go. This when Daniel, actually the man, he made an executive decision like, hey, I want to go to Cuba. That's where we're gonna go. We're not too far from Florida. Go to Miami, and Cuba's like 500 miles approximately from Miami. And he was like, okay, well, she was just like debating, like, okay, well, where are we going to get the boat? How are we going to get across that large body of water? Who has a plane? Who's going to take us there? It doesn't make sense. He was like, I know somebody that can do it. And when that deep connection was, I was like, even though they, I guess, in quote unquote in the world, they did something very wrong, but it was all entitled to self defense. He was like, hey, I love you guys unconditionally. I'm gonna do everything in my power. It may be a little sacrifice for me, but I'll help you guys get where you need to go. And I took that so neatly because as family, man, if you need some help, if you need like to get a mortgage paid off, if you need something that's gonna help build you up, build a family, build like a legacy or a business, man. And say if you're just known for not paying people back, you're not known for keeping your word. They put all that to a side and like, hey, we're gonna just give you another shot. Here you go. God bless you. And I just think that we need to start loving each other unconditionally, and no matter what. I mean, this how God, loves us, and we come back to Him. Yeah, we might have to suffer some consequences and learn from our actions. And but remember, the Bible says, "You confess your sins, you faithful and just, you purify you from all unrighteousness." And I believe you love someone unconditionally. That's the best. That's the true definition of love. I mean, even if you break up with someone and it's not right, you don't have to be with them, but you can still you don't have to wish any hatred towards them. If they know they need something that can help them overcome some type of addiction like alcohol addiction or tobacco use or anything, you can, if you can supply some type of resources for them and give them type of advice, that would be good. You don't have to say, man, I wish hatred on, I hope he dies, I hope he drink himself to death. That's not true love, because in that particular moment you believe that person's not with you anymore, and you're not getting with that person, that he can supply you with your sex or anything. And I was just like, wow, man, this is a very powerful thing, man. But I mean, the kidnapping, they met with the sheriff. It was all kinds of stuff that was going on, man, throughout their whole journey as they were trying to figure out, okay, we gotta stay low. We have to really stay low. When the car broke down, they met the mechanic, whatever. They had to get the air coolant. They had to get a lot of things together, man. And it spent a whole bunch of money, man. And a lot of people knew who they were wanting. They were like at least wanting about $250,000, man. So they had to go somewhere just to get to a dude. And it was just like it was a lot of things going on. But I like how when he wanted to go horseback riding, and the woman was like, "Dang, I never been horseback riding. I mean, I've always been horseback riding. He never been horseback riding before." So they went on the ranch and started horseback riding for like a couple minutes until somebody notified them. Was like, "Hey, get off my lawn! Get off my property! What are you doing?" I'm just like, man. So they was just running, and that guy, she goes into detail like, "Hey, man, they have like hobbies and stuff that they enjoy. Like my man loved to dance. She didn't like dancing, but she ended up doing it and she actually enjoyed it. And they actually started to grow closer. And of course, they had a huge sex scene in the movie, but they grew closer to each other, even though they didn't know what the future holds for them. And that's why I love movies so much. I love a great film, and I critique movies so well. I always critique movies. I critique them very hard, and I'll try to be as accurate as possible, unbiased. And some people from YouTube sector, they didn't quote unquote like the ending. I'm gonna get into the ending a little bit here, but man, this movie just really displays a lot of elements, man, of just why filming is so important and just having a message. I mean, even with the riots that's starting to happen, even though they went up to this white couple home, the wife didn't really was really on point with that. She was like, you're gonna have these criminals in our house. He was like, listen, honey, we gotta do everything we can to help them. Okay, I mean they still have lives too. Since act of self defense, let's just do what we can. We got hiding spots. She was like, okay, and then she started going along with it. And I was just like, wow, that's just deep, man. You got even people that's not even don't even look like you, but they understand the morale. They understand that, okay, well, you trying to help yourself, and you just mind your business. Like you're still a good person. You still have a soul. You still have ability to change your life, man, and just get onto the right track and to restart your new life. I'll help you get there. And that just shows that these supporting characters in this film have a conscience, man. And all this was just keep going on and on, man. And originally, you got the SWAT team coming in. They just seeing where they were. Just doing their room clearing. They couldn't find them at first. But what was really shocked me is when the police officer was a black police officer the next day when it was in that same house, and he was doing his rounds, and he actually heard a loud noise. This is when they decided to make an attempt to escape, and they had to jump like from two-story floor, man. And she broke her arm a little bit. Well, dislocated. And my man Slim, he put it back in place, and she screamed a little bit, and so he was on his tour. And before all that, he was just on patrol with his white co-worker, and the white co-worker, this officer, was just saying these racial remarks like boy, he was like, stop calling me boy, I'm a man, and all this stuff. He called them animals, just all kinds of stuff, man, just making little racial jokes. But anyway, he ended up walking towards there to see what was going on, and he noticed them. He spotted them. He could have easily shot them. He could have easily handcuffed them. And I just really think that, of course, he was a police officer to take care of himself and his family, to make something out of himself. It could be many inspirations. But if you would have easily like just arrested him, he would have been promoted. He would have been all over the news. But he knew that like all this money and just him getting all these awards is not going to satisfy him, especially for an organization that's known for treating African Americans wrong, just the way they were built and the way they were created. And I was just like, wow, man, that was just very powerful. And you really have genuine people who actually work for the system, the federal government, the feds, and stuff like that. They know what's really going on. That their people, some people or ethnic groups are oppressed more than others. And he let them go, and they was on their way, man. I was just like, wow, it was just really crazy, man. And when they showed the police riot and how influential, where it was a son that some of a mechanic, he was showing them around and everything, and they wanted justice because they noticed that, okay, why does these feds keep following these people? They was in self-defense. This is all the news right here. And black people say, let them go, let them go. And that's probably spurred all the anger and just just frustration, like with the Freddie Gray and Trayvon Martin. And I'm gonna get into that in a minute for another separate video. George Zimmerman's family is suing. Well, George Zimmerman is suing Trayvon Martin's family, but you have Eric Gardner's, you have just many other people, the Fred Hampton, the Black Panthers. I mean, just people that just really perished during the law enforcement, and you be like, wow, like can we just live? And at the end of the day, the man always want to have a legacy, man. I just really believe that's extremely important. Like, how you gonna make your mark on this earth? And just the development of the characters was just so awesome. It was just so spot on and so in point, man. I was just really in tune with this. And the reason why I give this film a 9.2 out of 10 is because I can kind of envision myself in his situation if stuff hits the fan, literally, man. But this was well scripted and well directed. Only thing about the ending, when they got into this individual, it was a black man. He was they was on there. They was in Florida, and they reached to the end of their destination. It was all they had to do was go across the water about 500 miles. They probably get there within an hour. Boom, they right there, man. In Cuba. But as soon as they trust him, he turned them in, and he got all this money, and they died at the end. And I was just like, wow, I really thought the movie was going to end with them just setting their life in Cuba and just being at peace now, or they're just gonna go their separate ways or something like that in a different country. And it's really sad because you got people like her. She had her insecurities, she had her flaws, that she wished she was really close with her mother. She hadn't really had too much family like that, man. And she did everything she wanted to do, and when she passed the bar exam, which was really great. But her first case was her defending her uncle against her mother through first degree. It was like second degree murder, and pretty much there was an altercation about her. She wanted to sell the house, but he was like, no, keep the house in the family name. This is our legacy. Don't sell the house. Like, I'll keep up with it. Just put it in somebody's name. So he was like, boom, when he pushed her down the stairs, and she busted her head, and she defended him, and he got off. And that's how they built that connection up. And I like how like everyone had a purpose in this film. And this what makes Oscar winning films here. And I'm not sitting up here and saying this because it had a black message or anything. No, it's deep. This is a deep movie, man. I mean, me personally, I was very hesitant in watching this film. I did not the trailer did not intrigue me at all. I'm just gonna sit up here and honest with you. I'm gonna be real honest. It did not intrigue me at all. But really analyzing and watching this film, this was good. But it's sad that they were killed at the end. There really was, man. And the only thing they remember him is that, okay, well, he killed that white cop. Hey, it was self-defense, whatever, because he shot at his girl, whatever. Let's go ahead. And this kind of shows the mentality sometimes of most black people, or what they went through. And now I had a really good conversation with my friend when he said, like, well, if someone, like Candace Owens, or it could be an individual that's part of the government, they'll probably be treated a little bit different. I'm like, yeah, not necessarily. You got people from the White House, that's African Americans get pulled over all the time. You got senators. They may get a little lenient, but for the most part, they will still look at them at their skin color. You got some of the racist ones, and that kind of overshadows the good cops that actually want to do their jobs and protect citizens. Not just going here and harass them. But man, Queen of Slim, a 9.2 out of 10. Well scripted, well directed. Some people may not like it. On the back YouTube sector, I'm sitting up here and telling you now, I watch a lot of movies. This was really good. And it wasn't like a really feminism, I'm sorry, type of movie. And I don't think this movie really made a young black man feel bad at all. I mean, you gotta understand, if you're yourself in that situation, you gotta do what you gotta do. You're not rich or anything, so limited connections, but you gotta work together if you want to stay alive, and if you want to just have a winning chance. But it would have been nice if they was alive though, man. I was like, man, they did all of that and they got killed in a matter of 6 days. But they tried, man. It was good, man. It was a real twist, and you gotta be careful who you trust, man. People would do anything for money at the end of the day, and the reason why I bring that up, because at the end you can see the man who was driving around to the plane about in an hour. He got all the money. He was counting it, and he was watching the news. And while they was reporting, saying, "Hey, well, two suspects are killed after a national manhunt, 6 days." It's deep, man. It's deep. It really is, bro. But this your boy Young Lean Jr. I'm not gonna draw this too long, but I just have to get up here and say this, man. This was a decent film. Go in here and watch this. I really enjoyed it. Just acting was phenomenal. Story, the resolution, the climax of this film, it brought it together, man. And this is the beauty of films here. This might be one of the best movies of the year. One of the best movies. I'm dead serious, man. Wow. I'm just very had a lot of messages in it, man. I almost got teared up towards the end, man. I was like, man, like just envision myself in that situation, in that position. Just everything's just all let loose and nothing's going right, but all you have is love. All you have is this person with you that's in the same situation as you, but you guys still, utilize your weaknesses and your strengths to help you get through and see another day. And I'm thankful for movies like this. I really am. But this your boy Arlene Jr. You guys tell me if you guys like this movie. I'm gonna put a spoiler alert here. Just I'm not just no type of clickbait or anything. But you guys tell me if you guys like this movie. I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on it, man. If you want, the best way to donate to the channel is go through my Cash App at Young Link Jr. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, man. 9.2 out of 10. Good film.